Entrepreneurship 101 is a series of interviews with Alvin Yong, a mastermind behind the I.M.Possible Mastery Program. Alvin is a social entrepreneur, a personal development coach, and a network marketing leader and trainer for over 20 years. In this interview series, we shall invite Alvin to share his insights and experience on starting a business and thriving in it. Last week, we discussed the importance of starting with a clear and bold vision. Apart from vision, Alvin, what do you think are the necessary mindset and attributes an entrepreneur should possess?
The spirit of I.M.Possible captures all the mindset and attributes that a person must have to pursue a successful entrepreneurial journey. Now, these are attributes that every one of us possess. It's a matter of personal choice as well as reason or motivation to turn them on or not. Entrepreneurs are not a special class of higher human being. Everyone is born to be an entrepreneur, but not everyone has chosen to be one. Either way, it is okay as long as you're happy being the person you are, doing the kind of work you're doing. However, if you wish to thrive in the new normal as an entrepreneur, then it may serve you well to develop yourself into a Mr. or a Miss I.M.Possible. There are 5 pieces to the jigsaw of the I.M.Possible mindset. Self-belief, learner mindset, action-oriented, resilience, self-awareness.
Let's talk about the first piece of the jigsaw, self-belief. Is self-belief the same as self-confidence? Does it mean that people who are by nature less confident of themselves are less inclined to be entrepreneurs?
Self-belief is a mental construct. It is also something that is very personal to each one of us. Some of us grew up into a more self-assured and self-confident person and tend to have a higher sense of self-belief. To them, nothing is impossible. And then there are those who grew up being suppressed or disempowered in some way or others and might turn out to be less self-assured. Now, to them, success is hard, or they might feel that they do not deserve success. Having said that, we all know of someone who grew up disempowered in many aspects of his life, but he managed to transform that disadvantage into a positive force. You must be familiar with a famous saying by Henry Ford: whether you think you can or you can't, either way, you are right. Therefore, what you think inside has a big say in what you're going to get outside. If you aspire to be an entrepreneur and you have a vision to manifest, then you must find a way to grow a strong sense of self-belief. Find a mentor, allow him to sculpt you like how a master would do to a disciple. Another way is to follow the footsteps of some giant role model who inspire you. For me, I grew up modeling the mindset of Leonardo da Vinci and the bold and undaunting visions of the late founding father of Singapore, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew. To me, self-belief is not a logical entity because it's just a mental construct in your own mind. You are the magician to give birth to anything you dare to imagine, and then believe fervently in your own vision from the within until you manifest it without. When Steve Jobs conjured a vision in the mid-1970s of putting a computer in the hands of everyday person, he just knew in his heart and mind that he would make it happen one day. His self-belief is cast in stone, but it was completely illogical. He had no evidence at that particular point in time to prove to anyone or even his investor that he could realize that vision. Another example, today we take airplanes for granted. But can you imagine how long and how hard had everyone been laughing at the Wright brothers before they proved with the first flight of their plane on the 17th of December, 1903. Before that, I'm sure most people would think that the Wright brothers were just mad. And that's right. Self-belief is a kind of madness, a kind of positive obsession. It's a form of reality that lives inside the mind of an entrepreneur, regardless of what the whole world might say otherwise. That mental construct is independent of all logics, independent of qualification, prior experiences, and existing resources and technologies, whatever. It is raw courage expressed. We discuss about vision. The clearer and the bolder the vision, the more inspired and motivated the entrepreneur will be, and the stronger the sense of self-belief he will have. If you can be so inspired by your vision that you can stake your life at it to declare as your life mission, then you have a sense of self-belief that is burning red hot, simply unstoppable. To the degree that you are that red hot will be the degree of your magnetism to attract all the right people and resources to help manifest your vision. Now, to answer your questions, whether people who lack confidence are less suited to be entrepreneurial. Well, it might seem so apparently, but I tell you, it need not be so. Confidence is mostly related to specific area of work. For example, you may not be confident of public speaking because you have never done it before and you have a certain expectation of how it should be done right. You may not be confident of performing up to that expectation and therefore unwilling to even give it a try. But self-belief is propelled by a sense of raw motivation. Now, even though you have never done any public speaking, but let's say you are in a life and death situation now. Your children and loved ones are about to be executed in cold blood. And the only chance for you to save them is to make a speech to the crowd that fill the entire stadium. What will you do? If the vision that you hold in your mind is to walk out alive with your children and your loved one, you make that bloody speech with a sense of self-belief that your wish just could not be denied. Therefore, self-belief is what you tell yourself. Others around you may help in some way to inspire and motivate you. That's all. No one can do that for you.
Wow, that's an insightful take on self-belief. How about the second piece of the jigsaw? How do you define a learner mindset?
An entrepreneur may start with a bold vision and be fortified with a red hot sense of self-belief, but that's not enough. It doesn't mean he knows how to get things done. An entrepreneur must adopt a learner mentality, to be curious, to acquire information, knowledge, skills, and all the necessary know-how to manifest his vision. There are many people with all kinds of visions and imaginations. They could just talk about their dreams, but stop short on actually working on them. These people are merely daydreamer. They are not entrepreneurs. An entrepreneur is inquisitive. He's a problem solver. He figures out what are all the pieces and then put all the pieces together. He learns and applies. And if it doesn't work out, he'll learn and apply again. And he will keep doing it until he succeeds. This is the reason why I say that an entrepreneur will develop into a more versatile and agile person compared to an employee who does only just one specific function day in and day out. Learning for an entrepreneur is not limited to just he himself attends school, takes a course, reads a book, or learn from the internet. It is also about learning from other people, bringing different people of different skill set together to learn and co-create solutions together. Let's return to the example of Steve Jobs. He didn't create the Apple computer all by himself, even though the vision originated from him. His vision attracted a team of talented individuals learning and working together, co-created the first Apple computer called the Apple I. If you have a learning mindset, you can learn almost anything today. Thanks to the birth of the internet in 1983, the World Wide Web in 1991, following that, YouTube started in 2005. These technologies have made information and knowledge of every kind available to everyone across the world. The questions whether you know anything no longer depends on what school you attend or who are your teachers. It depends on whether you have the keenness and the habit to learn. Armed with a learning mindset, you become a lifelong student, and there's absolutely nothing that you cannot know. There's no subject that's too complex to appreciate today and for the rest of your life. Now that is empowering, especially critical for an entrepreneur.
Yes, You spoke about the need for education to be reimagined, that schools should focus on teaching kids to learn how to learn anything. Next is action-oriented mindset. Can you talk about that?
Everything that an entrepreneur creates first exists in his mind, and then with action, he makes it real. And having an action-oriented mindset is what differentiates an entrepreneur from a daydreamer. Action-oriented means being practical, pragmatic, making progress, and getting things done. Being action-oriented takes courage. Often you won't have figured out everything yet. Some people, when they have missing pieces, they will procrastinate and they'll just sit on it and do nothing. I believe inaction or being indecisive about taking action is not helpful at all for an entrepreneur. Don't be afraid to fail. When your action don't bear fruit, don't take that as a form of failure. See it as gaining experiences. As an action-oriented entrepreneur, you must be prepared to take some calculated risk. One of my modus operandi is to fire first and then aim later, as in the working of a guided missile. I often find that through taking action, I discover answers along the way. Either that or I find out what don't work. And that's precious also because it adds to my repertoire of experiences. Now, action-oriented is not about being reckless or impulsive. Taking action mindlessly or without thoughtful preparation is simply careless and would be very unproductive. I think proper planning is important, but don't fall into the trap of over-planning. If you ask me to choose between an extreme planner and an extreme action taker, I would rather choose an extreme action taker. You can plan and plan, but everything will just simply remain inside your head and nothing's happened. But the action guy is going to try and try. Maybe he would fail and fail, but eventually he will figure out one way that works amongst the many ways that don't. So I would say follow the 80-20 rule. No need to wait for everything to be in place before taking action, but do keep your eyes open when you take actions and be prepared to make adjustments along the way.
The fourth piece of the jigsaw is resilience. Alvin, how does resilience fit into the I.M.Possible mindset?
With a clear vision and armed with red-hot self-belief, and you learn the necessary know-how and the hammer out of a detailed enough plan, then you launch yourself into action. And what do you think will come next? Success? You wish. I wish that for you too. But before success comes, setbacks will come knocking first. And you must be armed with the resilient mindset to deal with setbacks. Resilience is the ability to recover from setbacks, being adaptable to change and have the tenacity to keep going despite adversity. On your entrepreneurial journey, whatever you have planned will not turn out exactly the way you expected. You must inoculate yourself against setbacks, challenges, obstacles, and surprises of all sorts. You gotta be adaptable to changes in the bigger environment that are beyond your control. Be nimble, be agile, and most importantly, have the never say die attitude to keep going come what may. As an entrepreneur, you must fight on, like John McClane, played by Bruce Willis in the movie Die Hard. You must survive like a cockroach that is able to endure all kinds of beating and just won't die. That is the spirit and the mindset of being resilient. You must have the thick skin of a rhino that is capable of keep charging through the thorns and the obstacles in the jungle. And when you have paid the dues and persevere enough, you will finally charge through, emerge from the dark jungle into the land of paradise to tell your success story. Now, people who hear your success story, they will never be able to understand what you have endured through. So when you hear someone says that, oh, you have been so lucky to achieve success so easily, you just have to control yourself to not deliver a punch to his face. Instead, compose yourself, inspire him, and tell him that if I can, so can you.
Alvin, your final piece of the jigsaw is self-awareness. Why is self-awareness significant for an entrepreneur?
The single-mindedness of an entrepreneur can be a double-edged sword. It can be a virtue, a powerful creative force driven by inspiration to change the world. Yet, he can also move into the dark side, be devoured by an obsession that may eventually drain him physically and emotionally. Self-awareness is about the ability to stand apart from yourself and be a witness to yourself so that you can appreciate your own state of being and situation with a sense of detachment. It is immensely helpful to de-stress, avoid a burnout, and more importantly, to be able to exercise better judgment and making wiser decisions. You can achieve that by getting a trusted mentor to coach you, review your progress with you, and provide you with feedback. As for me, I practice daily meditation. It helps to quiet my mind and refresh my being for sharper thinking and decision-making ability. Another important aspect of self-awareness is to avoid failure from being successful. I know it's ironical, but it is also true that many entrepreneurs work hard to arrive at the pinnacle of success, wealth, and fame, only to fall from that peak back into the valley of failure. You see, success, wealth, and fame have a way to mess with your mind. And if you're not careful, you may start thinking that you're actually darn good, better than the rest, and you become proud, egoistic, and shed all the virtues you once possessed as a budding entrepreneur. When that happens, it may be the beginning of your downfall. Therefore, it's important to always practice self-awareness. Step away from yourself often. Look back with a sense of detachment and appreciate your own state of being, your own state of thinking, and ask yourself, are you still keeping on the original track, or might you have gone off tangent? Practice humility and be completely honest with where you have come from and where you are heading to ensure that you stay on the orbit for a sustained growth trajectory. Make self-awareness a spiritual practice that you do every day. Entrepreneur, may you develop the I.M.Possible mindset and be on your way to your entrepreneurial success.
To recap, here are the 5 components of the I.M.Possible mindset: self-belief, learner mindset, action-oriented, resilience, and self-awareness. Thank you, Alvin, for your valuable insights. The interview with Alvin will continue next week, so do subscribe to this channel and hit the bell so that you won't miss any videos in the future.